I'm Loren Gailey, and in this quantum conversation, we're hearing about an update since the particle convergence and the solar eclipse of August 21st, 2017. My guest today says that was the most significant event in human history, as a holographic beam created a blending of dimensions. Christof Melchizedek also says this is a powerful 3-month window of manifestation and anchoring in the most optimal timeline in your life. Here's my interview with Christof Melchizedek. I am so pleased to welcome back Christof Melchizedek to Quantum Conversations. This is inspiring, and it truly is steering our consciousness and working on ourselves from the inside out into a Christed perfection, a divine perfection. Christof, thank you for being here once again on Quantum Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you, Lauren, and thanks to everyone for choosing to tuning into this cause. Such a privilege to be with you here and to be seeing each other too on this call, and to be connecting with all of your listeners and watchers, and just to share what's coming through at this time. So thank you so much for inviting me back, and I hope this evening we navigate some topics that are of interest to all beings at this time of great evolutionary change.
The hottest topic of the day is this current time that we are in. Since the eclipse, that was absolutely powerful to witness that with our own eyes. And you were doing planetary work in Egypt. And since this eclipse, a lot has been happening. Oh my goodness. Experiences that really call on people to open their heart. So share with us first, let's start with the whole energetics since the eclipse, because that has been visible in our world.
Yes, absolutely. I feel I need to maybe explore the eclipse energy a little bit more. Many people don't realize this is what was one of the most significant events in all of human history. Of course, we've had eclipses before, but this particular frequency that was coming through, we've called it the particle convergence. And what this has meant was during a 3-day window around August 21, there was almost like a holographic beam coming right through our galactic center, right all the way through into Earth. And it was within this frequency that a blending of dimensions took place. Usually within our universal matrix, our dimensions are kind of held in separation through magnetic repulsion zones, which means we don't have dimensional blends. Well, during this portal, this incredible frequency came through, which unified our normal universal matrix, which usually consists of some founding frequencies and then 12 dimensions within that. And what we've seen during that window was a merging and a blending of these dimensions, and actually the founding frequencies of dimensions 13 to 15 have come and burst through to be settling in dimensions 1, 2, and 3, and are actually now broadcasting those frequencies. They are literally overriding those first 3 energy centers of our planetary chakra system. It's almost like the first 3 chakras of the planet have collapsed and merged, and the frequency bands which we normally associate with the red, the orange and the yellow have been overridden by some of these more auroric frequencies. And these aurora frequencies and aurora consciousness is streaming through the planet. So the particle convergence was completely immense because it allowed a complete programming of all different timelines, and all different futures and pasts were allowed to have access to. Now, indeed, we were in Egypt. We were guided to go to Egypt with a group to work through the initiation steps and stages that the Egyptian epoch put together across a number of different temples all up and down the Nile, and we had a reasonable group of around 40 to 50 people who all journeyed together doing beautiful ceremonial work in these temples, culminating in the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid on the 21st of December. And what was happening at this particular time, there was an incredible ceremony taking place. Well, not only where we were, but all around the planet. There were many people coming together in sacred ceremony. And it was our direct experience that through this wave of this holographic beam, this particle convergence, you can visualize it almost like the scene in A Dark World, the Thor movie franchise, in The Dark World, where those different worlds stack on top of each other energetically. That's a beautiful little metaphor for what was happening at that time. Was this frequency, there was a large transmission coming from the higher self universe of this universe, known as the Aurora consciousness fields. And the Aurora Guardians and the other various Guardians and Star Nations were broadcasting a frequency that came through the King's Chamber, through their beings in there, and through all beings who were joining in through synchronized meditation and ceremony around the planet. And an overriding frequency came in, and there were 2 or 3 major things that happened as a consequence, which may explain some of the things that have been happening on our planet. The first piece was that I've already mentioned the energetic chakras of Earth collapsing on dimensions 1, 2, and 3. So we no longer are operating with those frequency bands. The second thing was that the actual geometric foundation upon which our planet has built upon, and those of you in consciousness and spirituality may recall that the building blocks of our universe are sound, which creates vibration, which creates light, which goes on to create color, form, and geometry. And geometry is the template upon which physical manifestation happens. So when you change the geometry, it's literally like you're changing the blueprint, the architecting plan for which all of creation is built upon. Now, incredibly, what we saw and witnessed, and what we are witnessing with some of these things we'll discuss later, like the weather and other things, we saw a 15-degree shift in the form-holding geometry. Now, 15-degree shift, this has moved now our form-holding geometry, which used to be 60-degree shifts. So we used to see 60-degree shifts between dimensions, and these 60-degree shifts went on to form a pattern that many of you are at home are aware of, called the seed of life, which went on to go and form the flower of life. And the flower of life has been the Earth's geometric form-holding blueprint for a long time now, eons of time, since the Atlantean fall. And this has created the building blocks of the reality that we live in. The flower of life is a beautiful geometry. It is, however, has no relationship with its center. And what this means, it has a limited energy supply. It doesn't sustain itself eternally. It's like a finite energy supply. This new geometry, instead of moving 60 degrees, is moving 45 degrees at each turn. And this shift of the 15 degrees into 45 degree shifts is what many of you who have been studying the mystical arms and mystical pathways will hear many great sages and teachers talk about. You have to turn 45 degrees to move between dimensions. And what this 15-degree shift has done is created a new geometric form, the foundation of which has moved from a biwave frequency to a triwave frequency, the Father, the Mother, and the Child, divine frequency, and is creating a crystal spiral geometry which has a eternally sustained energy supply with the center, with source. And so because now we have seen an energetic shifting of the form-holding template, what we are noticing on the planet is, of course, a lot of energetic changes needing to take place as all the particles are rearranging around this new template. The other thing that happened, which feeds into what we'll talk about next, was incredibly, you're going to all be, amazed at what happened if the form-holding geometry change wasn't enough, was that all our planetary karma got cleared during this particle convergence. Now, this was an immense sweeping of the karma of our past. If we trace human history, there have been eons of time of war, of violence, of patriarchal domination, and any time that we are out of alignment with the rules of this universe, the laws of this universe, which is unconditional love, cooperation. If, of course, war is not love and it's not cooperation, it's competition and conflict, it creates ripples in the field of an energy that has to be returned to it in its equal and opposite foundation, meaning that the major wars and other things such as this that has happened to our planet over the years has created an energy field which has been being broadcast throughout all timelines, creating more of this pattern recurring, more wars, more violence, because that's the frequency that's been there. Now, this has all been cleared, which means that our past is no longer affecting our future, and we're living in a non-causal reality, which means only what matters now for all of us is the energy that we hold in our field, both individually and collectively, moment to moment. The past story is no longer relevant. So this is completely immense for all of us, not only for evolving into our highest potential by wanting to create our unique project in the world that is going to help birth this golden eon. Previously we may have had karma which created a ceiling for us to prevent us from moving through. We couldn't quite recognize or trace the block. It might have been ancestral, it could have been something else from a previous incarnation. And these karmic patterns were holding us at a level we couldn't move through. Well, beautifully enough now, all of that past karma, which ends up creating in our personal field twisted nadis, and the nadis are the spiritual nerves which go around the spine. Well, when they twist, they hold the frequency which creates the attractive field of the return path of the deed or the action that you took that was in non-alignment with the law, with the laws of the universe. This is all resolved now. And what is most important is what is held in your bioenergy field moment to moment. And we can scale that on a micro level for your life personally moving forward, but also importantly for us as a species. It is how we are operating and holding our field, our collective consciousness in this ever-present moment of now. And this is immense for us to understand and realize, because now we are not bound by what's happened in the past. We are defined more by our actions in the present moment. So more than ever, it's important we all come together into more stillness, more unconditional love, more positivity for how we wish to see the world to be in the future. Nothing is more powerful than the collective will of the people who are operating under the laws in alignment with the universe. Unconditional love, cooperation. Regardless of what other beings are doing, people in so-called leadership roles in companies and organizations and governments, that doesn't really matter compared to the collective consciousness of us all unifying ourselves to come together. Now, what's incredible, Lauren, since I think you were referring to since the 21st of August, since this, what we've called the particle convergence, there's a portal that's open all the way through to the 21st of December. This is what we're calling the particle emergence. Now, the particle convergence, which was also this solar eclipse that had happened through that period of time, was all about laying down new timelines for ourselves and for our planet. And so it's important now, as we're navigating this portal to the extraction on the 21st of December, that you align absolutely, all of us align our thoughts and our feelings, and most importantly, our deeds and our actions to be in alignment with our highest preferred timeline, our highest preferred reality, our highest preferences. because more than ever, we have an incredible opportunity to live the life we've always imagined, that has been seeded in our high heart, that's been seeded as a longing, as a calling that we have that we can't quite translate in the mental body, but it's here in the high heart. We have a unique window of opportunity to take massive intentional action in that direction by aligning with that high heart longing and correlating that into specific action here between now and December. So this is an opportunity for us all to really tune in to our life and how we want it to be, and to play our own unique, I guess, instrument in this grand divine symphony playing out as we write the story collectively of humanity's greatest triumph, and that is the ascension of our species.
Beautiful, and how comforting to realize that all of this past karma is cleared and swept away. I think that's so refreshing, because it seems like since the eclipse, people have been given another opportunity to see what's still there, like a residue that's still there, and it does come front and center. Truly it does. It's like, wow. And it brings about an awareness that that is old programming and it can go away. So I love that it's really important now to align with that highest potential, the highest preferred timelines. So for those who want to create this highest preferred timeline, can you give an example of what we do? Because again, there's no room for the old stories. That has been cleared. So when people are being still triggered by that, they need to realize, they need to be aware to really let that go, right? We must let that go. And that would be accelerated much better, right? And so we really hold our focus.
Yes, well, what's important is to understand how our consciousness and our DNA and all of our bioenergy field is creating our reality. It's almost like a projector with our consciousness being the light, zooming into our DNA, which projects our reality up. And we can switch what we're viewing as our reality moment to moment just by switching perceptions. And the first thing I can share is that it's absolutely important to be not only in your story, but also at the same time witnessing the story. Like, not kind of like you're the movie actor, but at the same time you're the movie director. You're kind of looking from that observational higher mind that is lighting through your system, so you can observe patterns and discordant patterns that are playing out, and you can observe yourself. Oh, that's interesting, I had quite a reaction to what's going on there. Because here's the truth, is that no one is going to come and save you. No guru, no expert can honestly save you. You are the one who's here to save yourself by understanding the rules of this entire universe in which we live, and taking personal responsibility for all of your outcomes and actions and thoughts and deeds, by understanding that you're here for growth. And through these challenges and the bumpiness comes the opportunity for growth, because often when we're getting some of the static back, it's an opportunity for us to look into it. We have to look into it. Otherwise, it's going to keep coming. It's going to be unrelenting. Now, I would like to just join some dots together for people so they can see how this is playing out, not only in the microcosm of your own life, or all of our life, my life included. I mean, I have to be super aware now, because it really comes and hits me quickly if I'm stepping out of pace, and no one is immune to this. It's, even a Buddha can fall. All of us have to be super aware of things that aren't in resonance or alignment, and through our loved ones and through our own discernment, make the appropriate internal shifts. Well, if we take it out to a macro level, I mean, since the 21st of August, we have seen 2 to 3 Category 5 hurricanes. We have seen 2 or 3 major earthquakes. We have seen volcanoes, getting ready to blast off. And if we consider that whenever we cleanse something in our own physical vessel, quite often there's purging involved. If we detox our physical body, we are often got headaches or symptoms or purging, or if we clean something energetically, it often is the same way. We have to get it out of our field. Well, this is what's happening to our planet right now. Because if you can imagine, this massive sweeping has come through, this massive clearing of planetary karma. Well, there was a lot held in our field. There were holographic inserts broadcasting war frequencies still from World War I and World War II. Now, when those holographic inserts dissolve during this particle convergence, obviously that has to be overridden and transmuted and cleansed out. And this is what's happening now to the planet, as not only that planetary karma, but the form-holding architecture of the geometry has shifted. All of this needs to be recalibrated and cleansed out of the field. And as all this takes place, of course, there's a little bit of bumpiness. And this may continue for a little bit of time, but I really want to share with people that this is a natural progression of a planet ascension. You know, we're moving our planet from a third density planet to a fifth, sixth density star. You know, we're having to massively increase the wavelengths so that the wavelengths that are coming in now to our planet are incredibly fast. And these have to override the slower wavelengths that were linked to dimensions 1, 2, and 3, those color spectrums I spoke about. So when we have these auroric frequencies coming in super fast like this, they are interacting with this slower frequency happening of the reds, oranges, and yellows of those lower dimensional bands. And as they merge together, of course, there's a little bit of bumpiness. And so at the particle level, that's what's happening, and then that is translating into significant events, various places around the planet. And so it's important that collectively we send love, we send unconditional love and a coherent field to all these places that are being affected, especially the people, our brothers and sisters, who are being affected by the storms and the hurricanes and the earthquakes, because they are at the brunt of this great transmutation that is happening. They are taking it and transmuting it on behalf of humanity, and they need our support. And one of the best ways we can do that is by sending out coherent love into these areas. And if you feel called, donating to a cause to help them, as to get them back on their feet. Because what this age is about, as we move into this age of ascension, is all about unity and unity consciousness. And that is one of the most important things that we as a species need to evolve into, if we are to indeed integrate this new morphogenetic field, which is now anchored into the grids of the Homo Divinus, which is humanity's new root race, which is a massive celebratory milestone for us as a species as we come into spiritual maturity.
Yes, okay, again, so beautiful. And unity consciousness, yes, that is also New Earth. And so when we talk about New Earth, it really is a frequency. So you make a lot of sense here when you talk about the new auric frequencies coming in and the lower bands, those lower frequencies having to be pushed out. Okay, yeah. So that's good.
Our artists and things know a little bit about color. Well, it's very hard to find the aurora color palette. You know, it didn't really exist. You have to do a lot of blending. These frequencies just weren't available on our planet. You know, we definitely had the reds and the yellows and the yellow hues and the green hues. But this new auroric consciousness field are such fast wavelengths that they're just bringing everything up to the surface. Everything that doesn't belong in a lower, slower wavelength and a more dense wavelength, the heavier emotions, the projections of blame, the jealousy, the all sorts of lower frequencies are all getting pushed up for clearing. This is why things are getting a little hectic, both individually, but most importantly, collectively. As society now starts simmering and cooking, because the systems that we have created are no longer in resonance with the frequency we are moving into. It's like kind of, you know, this old frequency of how we created all of our systems, education, money, finance, healthcare, are all at a frequency of control. which has no place in the future, which is all about being open and collaboration. And these are all simmering as society is simmering, that these frequencies no longer belong and are getting cleared and purged out. And so we are starting to see the first signs of these little breakdowns that need to happen. They are a natural progression of moving from an old system into a new system. New systems and new ways of coming about will happen through pioneering innovation, through conscious beings streaming ideas from their divine self to create solutions for the future. And more we're going to see this openness allowed to come down, and an avoidance of the suppression that has been, I guess, a hallmark of this age that we're coming out of.
Again, that is very inspiring and very comforting. You know, so we're also seeing the power of our consciousness, our collective consciousness. I want to share that I found it fascinating that, well, Children of the Sun Foundation sent a meditation for so many light players and workers to come in and meditate on a collective level. And that actually did some work to help calm this as well.
Yes, beautiful. And dear Tiara Kumara, who originally set up Children of the Sun Foundation many years ago as part of the architecting of the crystalline grid system up until 2012, has just brought some of these oneness transmissions back, and very timely for that dear sister. She was with us in Egypt, and so that was very beautiful to all be together, and we're looking forward to the unfolding of these transmissions. I'm sure they're going to be incredibly beneficial to all beings who want to be of service on a planetary level. You were asking me before, what can people be doing to help move through and navigate this? And I just wanted to start our talk today by pre-framing kind of what's been going on and the shifting that's happening. And now this brings us to your earlier question. What can we be doing individually to be part of the solution, to help write the story of our collective evolution and our greatest triumph? Well, I guess if I was to give very pragmatic steps, the first one would be to detox our bodies, to go through this frequency upgrade, to really detoxify ourselves. And you can go onto a raw food program or protocol. Just look up a number of different cleansing or fasting systems to cleanse out and detoxify, because that is immediately going to raise your vibration. Being with your audience is quite savvy, and Lauren, so they'll be fully aware that it's all about the frequency you're holding will determine the frequency that you end up in through the lens of linear time. So simply by raising one's vibration through cleansing, and one of my favorite cleanses is very simple: 1 week raw food, 1 week raw smoothies, 1 week raw juices, 21 days. And that's going to go through and just cleanse out, the microvilli, which are responsible for absorbing nutrients. That's going to be like a broom going through there, and the smoothies will just take out the plaque, and then the juices will just load in those nutrients, and you're going to feel completely sharp and mentally clear, very high frequency by the time you get to the end of those 3 weeks. And as you're going through that, especially in the last week or two, you want to start projecting your consciousness into the timeline of the future of that longing in your soul seat, whatever that may be, of your unique part in the unfolding of the divine plan. So you may project your consciousness. You could use a symbol, which for you, I guess, is the highest manifestation of your project that is going to help humanity, is going to help your community. And you can put that symbol inside what we call a Trioveka frequency, which is 3 intersecting circles. And you can visualize your symbol inside of there and build up the frequency in your system of the feeling of what this would be like at its highest potential. And if you start your day like that and project it out and through the field and hold that frequency and keep meditating on it, that is going to set your consciousness in motion to create that very thing. Now, of course, this would only be one part of it, because then, of course, you need action. you need to start creating an action plan, a very simple action plan that is going to move you from where you are now to where you want to be in the future, linked to this great vision you have of your part in the divine plan. Now, those of you at home who are saying, I'm not quite clear in my vision, well, quite often I find it's linked to the lens of your past experiences, things that you have overcome yourself. So this action plan to move forward that is aligned to your vision, to the consciousness, you need to take drastic action each day, especially in this unique window that we are operating in right now, where all our timelines are open for us to merge into a new reality. Now, this is not immune to any being. Any being can now significantly alter the causation and direction and the destination within their life path by raising their vibration, locking on to the vision, holding the frequency, and taking action steps towards that. Just recently, upon coming back, my family, my wife and I, we recently decided to make a bit of a shake-up in our life also. We decided that we would leave our home in Ibiza and live on the road, live a bit more of a digital nomad lifestyle for a while. So that was something that we chose to do to bring back a little bit more excitement and joy, to make the use of these frequencies. And all these energies are available for a significant shake-up to your life. And it's important to utilize them. Don't just procrastinate on it, but to make a clear progression towards it, because we're talking about not only our own futures, we're talking about the potential for all of humanity's future. And even, small action steps by multitudes of people make such a massive difference in the collective consciousness and the trajectory of our planet, which is now an ascending planet and has been an ascending planet since 2013. So we're living in a remarkable time to live a remarkable life, because our past no longer affects our future. And we're coming into the particle emergence, which is the 21st of December. And this is a very significant portal of a similar significance to the 21st of August that happened, where we are able to, from now until then, we keep populating our timelines into the future. And you can just imagine a golden web leaving out from your consciousness and your biofield all around you, moving out across the universe. And you're sending this energy, the symbol and the frequency of it, of your highest reality. And you're making, I guess, footsteps in that. Well, the 21st December is the extraction of all that energy. That is the harvesting of the energy, the harvesting of all this great frequency that is coming through. And this is an incredible opportunity for us then to utilize that in ceremony and to bring that energy through into and load it into our DNA. And that's what we can do during that date. And during that date, we'll be taking, and if you really feel called and you want to be part of the team that really writes the story, Akasha and I at the Institute of Divine Potential are taking another group through Egypt to go through these temples and initiation chambers and to be in the King's Chamber for the 21st of December to bridge what the guardian frequencies are bringing through and to send this frequency to the earth grids. So if this is resonating with you and you've always wanted to go to Egypt, or you want to come along on a more divinely inspired mission, we'd love to take an opportunity to invite you and to come and explore this incredible opportunity as we share and navigate these frequencies. And if the last trip in August was anything to go by, it was nothing but spectacular. I mean, I was exceeded expectations on all levels, both with the quality of what we experienced, being able to do ceremony in every temple and private time in the King's Chamber. So if you really want to take things up a level, you'd be welcome to come, and those of you who want to apply and come and join us, we'd love to see your application come through and be part of the on-the-ground team who will direct this current and frequency and help this transition happening at this time.
Wow, very amazing that you were able to get into the King's Chamber on December 21st. Very good. So I know that's going to resonate with many hearts, and for those who are willing to make that journey, yes, we'll think about that and get that going, and we'll have a link on this webpage for that. That's beautiful. How magical. Okay, so this is very empowering to think that here we can really steer our consciousness into that timeline, into the perfection of who we are, channeling our divine self. And so, you know, it's really comforting because it just seems tiresome. But if we can get rid of that old story, like you said, be very aware. Even just this past weekend, I was aware something got me really riled up. And I was aware that that was something that was a lesson for me. And my husband and I have a joke right now. It's like, thank you for helping me clear that. Because it truly is our responsibility to clear that. If something outside of ourselves is still bothering us or triggering us, then that is the deepest lessons for us to look within ourselves. What is it within ourselves that we still have to let go of? So it's beautiful that you mentioned we have to be very aware and then choose a reaction appropriately, do whatever it takes to change that vibration. I usually go out into nature, and that didn't even work. And then I sat down and I actually physically wrote it out. And when I realized how that connection, I realized it was loud and clear. It was something within me, and I recognized it. So what I'm trying to get at in this long-winded reply here is that it's so beautiful to see, once we're free of those stories, how we can truly magnify our intentions by steering our consciousness on these timelines. So that's really important. And I just, again, say that's very comforting. It really is.
And, you know, certainly for all of us, with, you know, myself more than anyone who had many years of the struggle, you know, of old programming and old stuff, well, that energy doesn't necessarily have to be there anymore. Certainly on the karmic level. You're going to still have to work on belief systems and things that may have been inherited, but it's a lot easier. The wind now is at our backs, and we're able to fly into these currents, with these currents, and help our projects move forward. Because if each of us were to, you know, fully embrace our divinity, fully embrace the totality of who we are, the higher mind, and higher than our higher mind, of course, is that great unified source intelligence of who we truly are. You know, there'll be nothing but the golden eon emerging, moving forward from here. And I feel, you know, greatly inspired to do all I can to help with this story. You know, many of you at home will feel the same way, who've got children, that you want to make sure that when it comes time for them to have children, it's into a world that we're proud of leaving behind, not something that we think, oh, I wish I'd done more, you know, because the world is at a precarious place. We all need to step up to be proud of what we leave behind for our children's children.
You know, everyone listening to this, watching this video, is actually here as a New Earth leader. I am truly convinced of that. So let's hold our vision of New Earth like never before, and don't let anything distract us from that. No outside, you know, it's kind of like when we see the stuff that could be distracting, to know that that's the old that doesn't hold up in the new energies. Again, that's very comforting and really empowering for us to move forward with the heart seed, the seed in the high heart, and really create new earth from a frequency. So tell us what you feel. What is your definition of new earth and being in the fifth dimension?
Yeah, well, I love the term New Earth leader. You know, leadership is absolutely what's needed to pilot this concept of a new earth. You know, of course, what is new earth? Well, it's obviously something newer than the old earth. Well, old earth didn't work. What's going to be the new earth? Well, it's earth but better, shall we say. For me, a newer definition of earth is moving into a society that is in cooperation, not in competition, that is in harmony, not discordance, that is in unconditional love, not fear. You know, it's utilizing natural resources in a way that means we've got a co-creative, sustainable model. We have economic systems that are based around contribution, not competition, are based around by wanting to do good in the world. So what I often do is I future cast. I take my consciousness to a place that may be 200 years in the future, and I'm tuning into the frequency of what that might look like and how that might feel. And all that we need to do is work backwards from there. And then there we go, well, how can the little I make any sort of dent into this frequency of the future? Well, I believe David Hawkins in his wonderful book, Power versus Force, once said that every thought, every feeling leaves an eddy in the interlocking, interweaving fabric of time. Our thoughts and our actions and our feelings create ripples in the field. And it's these frequencies which create the form-holding building blocks of physical manifestation. So it's taking personal responsibility for our bioenergy field moment to moment. There's a beautiful saying, I'm not even sure where it comes from, but leader of one, leader of many. If you can't lead one, you can't lead any. And this gives rise to this concept of leadership. What is leadership? It's not necessarily a word that's designated towards people with fancy titles. We're talking about personal responsibility, personal leadership. It's about understanding our values and living our life in alignment with those values, living a life of integrity, of love, of cooperation, of service, of gratitude, of these types of frequencies which, if we build in our field with, will naturally draw other people towards us, will naturally inspire others to live more in their integrity, more into their love. It's the invitation by living our own life as an example. That's the only way any of us can truly lead, is by example. It's like what you're saying and then what you're doing match. There's no difference between how you're living and how you're saying you live. It's living actually in accordance with this. It's finding that harmony and resonance in your life. And what that does is that allows to move you from a state of struggle into a state of flow. And flow is when that naturally everything just opens for you. All the doors open. You're operating with a concept known as effortless intention rather than personal will. Personal will, what tends to happen in the bioenergy field is someone's back chakras overactivate and someone's third eye projects constantly forward into the future, and the ego is attempting to control everything around it to pull you towards that future. Effortless intention looks nothing like that. It's just simply staying in hara, in balance. There's no personal force and current happening because you're in a state of being. What's happening is that you're magnetizing your reality towards you, not chasing it. This is this forcing current, this pushing current that was an ever so, present energy in the society that we lived, and me more than anyone had that. And what happened in the particle convergence for me personally was massive, because that constant need of feeling of needing to get things done, this kind of like, not forcing it, just a subtle activity of constantly wanting to get things done just all dropped away. And what we're seeing now, and what I'm feeling in myself as a direct reflection, is the rise of the feminine energy, which has been suppressed. And so this rise of the feminine into a state of more being and allowing is creating more ease and flow for those of us who choose to embody that type of energy within our systems. So this is really a moving back out of the space of the mind into the space of the heart, and truly operating from our heart's intelligence. And I talk about before about action steps, but action in the right space and time. Sometimes we just need to hold and be still and not act. And it's in that state of non-action that everything happens. So it's understanding the balance between the two and taking action when necessary, but being in a state of non-action as your intent.
Beautiful. Yes, I get that. I really do. And the rise of the feminine, beautiful. So I know that so many have been feeling with these new energies, like things would happen where schedules need to change. People are honoring the moment, and that sometimes means schedules and appointments have to be changed. And so I love that it's the effortless intention, because we do have to be flexible in honoring those times where we have to be flexible. And you know what's most amazing of it all is that if something gets changed, a date gets changed, we're not clinging to it saying, oh, or worrying about it, but the new date that comes along is actually in more divine alignment than the original one was. It's quite amazing. Beautiful. So, all right, beautiful. And I love that it's becoming the magnet and not forcing things. And so you do a lot of teachings with this, where we're working and holding in our bioenergy field these intentions and this vibration. And so some of the special offers that you have, you do some webinars, and so I want to give you a chance to offer those as well.
Yeah, well, we're at this sort of redoing a lot of our trainings, which have come from and that before the 21st of August, where a lot of things shifted. And so we're right now architecting all of our new updated trainings. And so we'll look forward to sharing those with you in the very near future. Of course, I think we did have an Egypt offering for your audience. It was the Egypt transmission in terms of the online home study training that was all about those energies around that time. So if you haven't, if you want to tap into some of those frequencies that were being broadcast through the particle convergence, we created a training that embedded the frequencies through the transmission. So that would be a wonderful starting point. And I guess I think I mentioned there is a trip to Egypt coming up for those that feel aligned. What we found about the DNA training, it was hugely popular and people really resonated, loved it. But what we were finding, it was based more on us delivering the transmissions. And what we found is that it ended up people relying on us to provide the frequencies. And so we want to shift that so that people are taught how to run the frequencies themselves, because we want to empower people and rather than rely on us. And soon enough, there'll be trainings are coming that I feel are more powerful in terms of empowering you into your own spiritual sovereignty to run these frequencies yourself.
Yes. Okay, beautiful. Well, as you said earlier, no one is going to save you, and we are our own gurus. So that's beautiful. These are higher dimensional frequencies. We can raise our vibration. We can align with them. And I'm so glad that you're going to be sharing with. Yes. Okay, beautiful. Well, as you said earlier, no one is going to save you, and we are our own gurus. So that's beautiful. These are higher dimensional frequencies. We can raise our vibration. We can align with them. And I'm so glad that you're going to be sharing with us how to do that. So the trip to Egypt, it really does sound fascinating. Give us some details because, is it 10 days, 12 days? What do you do each day? What are the hotels like? I know people want to hear some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe it's about a 2-week journey from the 9th of December. We all meet up in Mena House, which is the beautiful historical hotel right next to the pyramids. I mean, it's a total oasis. It's really, we've got total 5-star experiences all the way in terms of the quality of where we're staying and how we're traveling. And we're at the pyramids that day, and we start off by going to a number of initiation centers and chambers and temples, all the major places you would expect, including Luxor and traveling around Luxor and the Karnak temple, the Luxor temple, which is known as the Temple of Man, Karnak, Dendra, all of these places, the Temple of Philae, which is the Isis temple, all of these places that, you would have heard of, we'll be going to and actually performing ceremonies. So what we've done on this trip is we've actually hired private time in many of these temples, which you normally can't do. So, for example, in Karnak temple, we've hired the temple privately. So the whole setup there is just open for us. We go in the early morning of dawn, so there's no other people around. We do the same for the Isis temple. We do the same for a number of key temples, including the King's Chamber and the Great Pyramid, because we really want to be able to do ceremony inside. So it costs us a little bit extra to do that, But because of the nature of what we're doing, we're able to do ceremony where normally you cannot at these places because the guards are on it. We've included a beautiful Nile cruise where we get to cruise down the Nile and spend 4 nights on a luxurious boat sailing the Nile, which is a wonderful experience. And this trip, unlike last trip, where we went all the way down to Abu Simbel, this trip we've been guided that we need to go to the Red Sea and perform an energetic blessing and clearing for the Red Sea, because the Red Sea is holding a lot of frequency that needs to be upgraded. So we'll be going to the place where Moses parted the Red Sea, a very special sacred space, and performing a water blessing ritual from an ancient tradition as the Waitaha, which are an epoch of people that were the first transition out of Lemuria based on New Zealand, my home country. So that will be beautiful, and then we fly back to Cairo, and of course we'll do the Cairo Museum, and we'll be doing our private time in the King's Chamber and private time with the Sphinx. Now, the aim of what we're doing is we are sending frequencies into each of these chambers and their initiation temples. And what I found so incredible about Egypt is the astrocartological temple structures still hold the frequencies of the healing that they're originally intended for. So just by stepping in to the vortexes of the temples, your frequency gets massively raised up, and then we perform a energetic ritual that is then designed to run frequencies into your field, into your DNA template, raise your vibration, activate latent Egyptian coding and memories. Many people just, for example, we had a number of people go into Hatshepsut's temple and just break down in tears, or people would break down in tears from memories in the Isis temple or the Hathor temple, and from memories from past lifetimes that were relevant coming to the surface. And it's just truly remarkable. You know, many of us have had lives in Egypt right in this epoch, and so we're going back to the place on the planet where these frequencies are birthing, and these frequencies are coming through, and especially inside the King's Chamber, where we get 2 hours there. We did a whole hour of a sonic meditation where we were toning for an hour, and the frequency of the whole pyramid was shaking. And we had some of our aspirants and some of our faculty, indeed, who were out Mount Shasta, who were meditating during this time and could hear the frequencies of the toning coming through from all the way in Shasta and the higher realms. So, you know, this is a beautiful tour for those of you who are spiritually inclined and wanted to raise your consciousness. What we noticed was that every single person who was in the King's Chamber with us and went through that experience shifted their reality and shifted their timeline. We saw incredible transformations, and our travel partners there really bring us through in the lap of luxury. We're really well looked after and presented, and all the doors are opened because we're connecting with the key holders of Egypt. So we're not going to go back for a while because of the particular timestamp we're in, the 21st of December in the King's Chamber. This is probably our last trip to Egypt for at least a few years, as we're going to be called elsewhere. So those of you that are resonating with this material and this work and want to be of service and actually want to come and have an exceptional experience altogether with a group of like-minded beings, then yes, do look into coming. You can go and check out our website. I believe Lauren will have a link just underneath here where you can check out the trip in more detail and see if it resonates. And if it does, we'd love to receive your application, and we can process things and go from there.
Well, it sounds wonderful being in those temples, private time in those initiative temples. When we go to sacred sites like this and do ceremony, there are big shifts in our lives. Yes, beautiful. As you know, on your journeys to Peru and elsewhere, it really is powerful. And December 21st, that solstice, how beautiful. And it is the 5th anniversary of New Earth. That's wow. A powerful time. Very powerful.
Mark that date in your calendars. Make sure that you set up some sacred space and spend some time in meditation on that special day. We'll be doing an energetic transmission that you'll be able to catch during that actual window on the 21st of December through Empowerment. So keep an eye out for that if you can't be there live.
Beautiful. We may be joining you in Egypt. That would be beautiful. We have it on our radar, and that would be wonderful. So stay
Yeah,
tuned.
Lauren, I mean, we'd love to get you out here. We'd love to have you come and join us, and it'll be
Yeah.
an amazing experience altogether. So let's see what we can do to make
Mhm.
that happen.
I would love to do that. So, I love the Lemurian connection as well with the Red Sea. And I know, you were saying that some people have always wanted to go to Egypt. And then, if most of us, many of us have had past lives in Egypt, even if we do not feel driven to go to Egypt, that's a sign of a past life as well. And so that can be very healing on something like this. So,
Yes, sometimes some people have resistance to going. It's in their awareness, Egypt, but they don't want to go. It's most likely because of the pain of a trauma, of a death, of a way that things turned out at that time. So it can be incredibly healing to go back and revisit and close that loop.
okay, beautiful. And the lap of luxury on this trip, too. I saw on your video you had the backdrop of the pyramids and you guys were sitting outdoors, and that just looked really exquisite. So you are going in style, yes.
Manor House is amazing, and for me personally, I just loved the cruise down the Nile. I mean, that was
Mm.
just like from a movie. It was just so beautiful and so cleansing. We could just feel the water coming through us, just washing off our days, and it was a wonderful way to cruise down the Nile. And I guess if anyone has considered a trip to Egypt, cruising the Nile is usually hot on the list of things to do.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for your work and service and this enlightening and empowering video today. It's been such a pleasure to catch up with you, and we look forward to staying in tune as we all go through this very powerful shift, steering our consciousness with effortless intention. As we say goodbye, any last words for our audience?
Oh, wow. Closing statement. Yes. I'd like to share that as a evolving species we are, and as an incredible divine being that you are now bound more by your actions in the field and intentions in this now moment than you are by your past. And my encouragement is to utilize this understanding and to truly tune in to what it is that you want to create, and to know that you're a limitless being of divine potential, and that your experience in this physical vessel is a window of experimentation for the soul, and to take some risks, to take action. Start with a cleanse, start with that meditation I gave you, and start understanding that the more you raise your vibration and expand your consciousness, the more harmonic and in flow your life will become. Take those small steps, work on yourself. When you get triggered, realize that it's not the other person, it's yourself, and look inside for those little nuggets that are the woundings that are creating the angst when someone triggers you, and override them with your clearing techniques and other things that you're learning to keep raising your frequencies, so you may be part of this incredible sweeping new energy and the evolving planet that is happening for us all right now. So thank you so much for giving us the greatest gift, which has been the gift of your time. And I trust that this information serves you all well as you go on your divine path. Namaste.
Namaste.
If you'd like Christof Melchizedek's latest webinar with the encodings from the Egyptian tour around the August 21st eclipse, please check out the link available on this webpage. Reporting on the shift in consciousness, I'm Loren Gailey. We are one, we are New Earth, we are New Earth One Network.